Good evening. My name is Bretton Villarreal, and this is my special project. I utilized the uh, analysis of leadership in meetings aspect for this project. Um, my current occupation is as a real estate loan officer at a bank located in Lubbock, Texas. Uh, our bank is headquartered, though, in Dallas, Texas, and this is important and worthy of noting due to the fact that with our headquarters being in Dallas, Texas, we consistently have loan committee meetings for the approval or denial of loan requests from borrowers. And due to these meetings, these meetings reflect multiple leadership um, attributes that are positive and negative um, to all parties involved in these meetings on a regular basis. Now, as I said, since they are meetings, they are teleconference meetings. They happen twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays of every week. So, as I said, there's quite a bit. Meeting one that I referenced in my essay, we sought approval and were granted approval in the end. Um, but there was a hurdle, as mentioned. Borrower X was a highly profitable and well known industrial machinery wholesaler. Borrower does business and has operations in Lubbock, Amarillo, Midland, Odessa, San Antonio, Austin, DFW Metroplex, a couple of towns in New Mexico. If I were to clearly state who the borrower is, it would be everyone would know due to the marketing and the presence in all these cities, especially in Lubbock and Amarillo, where we are from. Anyways, Bar X was a longtime customer of the bank. Never really any concerns with their financial status, guarantor status, or anything of that sort. However, on this specific request, it was a pretty large request, $20 million dollar line of credit. So with this amount, all senior levels of management were involved. Real estate department manager, who is my boss, regional chairman, who's our boss, senior credit officer in Dallas, chief credit officer, head of loans in Dallas, and then the chief executive and chief operating officers as well. Like I said, due to the loan size. Uh, in this presentation that we put together and presented to senior levels, they had roughly 2 days to overview these deals, and that's the usual amount of time. Um, the chief executive, chief operating, and chief credit officer were okay with the deal. Besides the dated or stale guarantor information that we presented. Well, this is usually a hurdle that should not be cleared due to the relationship with the bank and other mitigating circumstances. Um, we overcame this hurdle. However, it wasn't necessarily due to the mitigating circumstances. It was the way that these mitigating circumstances were presented by the Lubbock leaders, and this speaks to the leadership qualities that they presented as well. Uh, I would say in normal circumstances, this would not have been allowed, or we would not have been able to proceed. However, such as the regional chairman, um, consistently demonstrating specific personalities and values that create strong leadership qualities and traits on a daily basis. This allowed the senior managers in Dallas to be persuaded. The trade approach is what I'm speaking to, and this is one of the first systematic approaches that was studied. Based on the lecture material, this approach assumed that people have traits and skills, and that individuals in these positions, these managerial positions or executive management positions, they obtain and contain these traits and use these in an effective manner. Like it says in our material, they have high levels of managerial effectiveness. Well, the approval of this deal, although there's missing information, if you will, not necessarily missing, but dated, um, the approval of this deal wasn't necessarily based on those mitigating factors. It was, in my opinion, based on the way they were presented by the leaders and the leadership aspects that were used to present these. Um, Now, that's not always the case, as I was saying, but just to speak to some of those leadership qualities that were utilized, the openness that was displayed by the regional chairman. Um, he was informed. He was creative in the way he prepared his wording and his presentation along with ours. Um, and he was curious too as to why we didn't have, but he had backing information, historical information, to help us along the way. Uh, you know, due to the leadership and the communication between all parties involved, uh, it was finally approved. Um, there's consistent communication in these transactions, and that's what this is all about. That's what our operation is all about. Um, Try and create a seamless transaction. Now, meeting two, approval was not granted. Yeah, I took part in this as well. Um, this was for a Mexican fast food restaurant expansion and buying real estate, things along those nature. Now, the bank has a policy, as all banks do, when buying real estate, as far as environmental hazards and environmental research, as far as the land, what the business will be using the land for, and how that will affect the land. Um, Usually, we have environmental procedures taken care of by third parties, so there's no compliance issues. However, we failed to do so completely in this instance, and in doing so, we didn't display any cognition. Cognition is one hurdle that you know created created the ultimate problem within our underwriting process here. Uh, Cognition refers to the mental processes involving gaining knowledge and comprehension of the knowledge. Um, this is this includes things of the nature attention, perception, memory, uh, understanding the language or the operation, solving the problems, coming of judgments, and making decisions. Not just ultimate decisions, but all decisions within your organization. Um, Attention, understanding the language or the operations, and solving the problem was the ultimate problem here. Um, Due to the fact that we neglected it, we tried to get around it, um, and the inability to recognize and pay attention to the loan policy that is in place for reasons, compliance, and other things, um, was what we failed to do. Uh, Leader cognition is important. Um, in all instances, but more so in crises, um, which in this instance was neglected. Um, I will say though, although this was not approved and was denied, it is worth noting that there was leadership attributes and characteristics involved in this transaction as well, between the Lubbock members and the headquarter members in Dallas. Um, there's constant interaction here. We displayed successful repetitive interaction, although the ultimate goal, if you will, was denied. Um, as stated in the leader member exchange theory lecture material, leadership as a process is centralized around the interactions between the leaders and the followers. Um, as I said, this takes place every Tuesday, Thursday, so there's quite a bit of this. However, in this one in particular, there were hurdles that we were able to climb, and there was one ultimate hurdle we were not able to climb, therefore leading to denial. But regardless, there was constant interaction between the leaders and the followers. Um, so, you know, although unsuccessful, it was successful in a way. It demonstrated leaders attempting, prioritizing, and adapting to what we were presenting, and attempting to come up with a successful solution.